Hello wrestling fans, the Wrestling Wizard here and welcome to another video. And in this video we're going to look at 10 completely random facts about 10 current WWE superstars. Now this is something different. We don't normally do this on the channel. We normally come out with theories and predictions in regards to the current product. But I thought it's a seasonal period, so why not have a little bit of fun? And of course I want you to get involved. Get down in the comment section. You can just share a random fact about one particular superstar or a number of superstars, something that we may not know. Now of course some of these facts you'll probably know about, but maybe you'll learn something you didn't know about one of your favourite superstars. So here we go. And the first superstar that we're going to kick things off with is none other than Drew McIntyre, a recently heel-turned Drew. Now, did you know that Drew McIntyre's iconic finisher, what it certainly is to this present day, in the Claymore, was actually created by accident? Back in the day when he was part of 3MB, and I'm sure Drew would probably want to forget about that time, it's safe to say he was wearing some pretty tight pants. And they were in this handicap match against Ryback back in the day. And he was going to perform what was supposed to be a big boot. And because his pants were so tight, he had to improvise and ended up delivering something that resembled what we see today in the Claymore. Obviously, he's modified it slightly. But that's how it came about, completely by accident. He meant to deliver a big boot. It looked kind of cool, the improv. And they rolled with it. And now look at Drew McIntyre. It is one of the most devastating finishers in the whole of WWE. Crazy, isn't it, how these things happen by accident? Moving on to one of the hottest acts in the women's division in Mami, Rhea Ripley, the Eradicator, who to me always feels like the unofficial leader of Judgment Day. I know Damian Priest thinks he is, but let's face it, it's Rhea Ripley who wears the boots. Now, believe it or not, there was a time way back when, and this is going all the way back to her childhood, where Rhea Ripley had the potential to become a professional football player, or soccer player as you call it in America and Australia, I believe. But we're really strict about calling it football in England, so I'm going to call it that. She actually played for a team called Fulham United, not the one in England, but a team in Australia, and she had potential, so some hidden talents there for Rhea Ripley. But of course, it seems like she made the right decision in WWE, one of the hottest and top acts in the women's division, and just going from strength to strength, and is surely going to carry that title all the way into WrestleMania 40. Now, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I also believe it was Tegan Knox, who was a very talented football player back in the day in her teens, and I think she got trials for Cardiff City way back when as well. So a few hidden football talents on the current WWE roster. Moving on to the visionary in Seth freaking Rollins. And talking of visionary, we're going to talk about Seth Rollins' current theme. Now, it's no secret that Seth, in real life, is a massive heavy metal fan. And one of his favourite bands is a band called Parkway Drive. And if you listen to one of their songs on one of their albums, Wild Eyes, it's very, very similar to his current theme. And I certainly feel like there was some inspiration drawn from that. Go and have a listen. Parkway Drive, Wild Eyes. It certainly seems very similar. But that's not actually the Seth Rollins theme I want to talk about. I want to talk about The Second Coming. Remember that? Arguably one of Seth Rollins' best themes in my opinion. And remember at the start of that theme, when he originally came out to it, there was this massive pause before the drums kicked in. And it was actually Vince McMahon who demanded for that gap to be filled, and that is where Burn It Down came into play. So that was actually added because Vince McMahon demanded it. Hence the Burn It Down, which actually became iconic with the Seth Rollins gimmick. Now you're probably going to know this next fact, and it involves another WWE theme song in the Tribal Chief, the head of the table, Roman Reigns. Did you actually know that his walkout entrance theme is very different to his exit theme? If you listen to his exit theme, purposely, there's actually segments from his previous theme, The Truth Reigns. You can make it out 3 or 4 times it loops over. And also, there's a slightly different beat to the exit theme. I prefer the exit theme, and I wish they'd release it, to be honest with you, because it's quite different. And if you think back to theme songs like Evolution by Motorhead, their exit theme and walkout theme was different, subtly different, but you could certainly tell the difference between the two of them. And this certainly goes under the radar. Often in post-match celebrations, fans would think that it was a glitch hearing the truth reigns. When you get 5 seconds, go and have a listen to the Roman Reigns exit theme, and you can clearly hear the difference between that and the walkout theme. Now, moving back to the women's division, did you know that Alexa Bliss used to be a physique competitor, a bodybuilder? She's actually competed in the Arnold Classic, which is a pretty mega bodybuilding event. She actually got into bodybuilding to overcome an eating disorder which she had back in her teens. She actually suffered from anorexia, and then she had breast surgery to help her feel more feminine and overcome it, and obviously the bodybuilding helped with her body confidence and all that. So what a cool story. Like, I love to hear stories like that when someone overcomes a life-threatening illness and comes out the other side. And look at Alexa Bliss now, one of the top stars in the women's division, so kudos to her. Now, I couldn't have a facts list without including KO, Kevin Owens, or as he was formerly known as Kevin Steen within the wrestling industry before his time in WWE. And did you know he was actually a tag team with current WWE superstar Akira Tozawa? And they were actually known as the really cool named Nightmare Violence Connection, and they've had some banger matches. Go back and watch a PWG match between the Nightmare Violence Connection, Akira Tozawa and Kevin Steen, and El Generico and Ricochet. Honestly, an absolute banger of a match. Seems strange to see those two together. Hey, never say never, maybe we'll see it again, but unlikely as they're both on separate brands at the moment. But hey, you never know what the future holds. Akira Tozawa was actually a pretty big deal back in the day. Now, moving on to one of my favourite superstars of all time, a recently returned Randy Orton. And did you know that Randy Orton used to be a Marine? But did you also know that Randy Orton directly disobeyed an order from his commanding officer? Prior to that, he went AWOL, and there was no other alternative but for the Marine Corps to release Randy Orton from the Marines. And he basically just got kicked out. But it was a blessing in disguise, because had that not happened, maybe we wouldn't have seen Randy Orton within WWE in what has been a legendary career, a future surefire Hall of Famer. But Randy Orton went AWOL in the Marines. Now, moving back to the women's division, we couldn't leave out the man in Becky Lynch. And did you know that before she became the man in main evented WrestleMania 35, that she previously worked as a flight attendant for Aer Lingus back in 2006, and this was around the time where she briefly quit wrestling. There was a time where, hey, we may never have seen Becky Lynch. She quit wrestling, she fell out of love with wrestling, and then returned to it after working as a flight attendant. And I believe it was the same company that her mother worked for years previous. She hated it, she got out of that, and then of course she then became the iconic superstar within the women's division in WWE. And we then got the gift that is Becky Lynch. Now, keeping the Irish theme moving, we're going to move on to Sheamus. Now, believe it or not, before his time within WWE, Sheamus was actually a security guard, actually appearing on WWE TV as just that, eating a pedigree from Triple H, which is ironic because those two went on to face one another when Sheamus was signed to WWE at WrestleMania 26, where of course Triple H was the victor. And even prior to that, Sheamus was actually a trained IT technician. I always find it funny when wrestlers had trades leading up to them signing contracts. I don't know why, because clearly they needed to make ends meet and all of that. But John Cena was a limousine chauffeur or something, and Kevin Owens was working at a gas station. Like, it's crazy to think how far these people have come and the careers, the iconic careers that they secured along the way. So that brings us on to our final superstar, one of my favourite superstars in the women's division, in Bayley. Now, did you know that way back when NXT arguably was at its finest, that Bayley actually recreated Finn Balor's epic entrance. It was at a live show in NXT when Finn Balor was injured, and he gave the nod for Bayley to replicate Finn Balor's entrance. You've probably seen this if you were an iconic black and gold NXT follower, but it was just a feel-good moment, and that's why I wanted to include it, because you can go back and watch it, and it was just such a awesome moment. And what was quite funny, shortly after that, Finn Balor actually recreated Bayley's entrance, which is equally hilarious. But I think Bayley, to be fair, looked pretty cool in that jacket, that Balor jacket. She carried it off for sure. But there we have it, just something a little bit different. I thought through the seasonal period we could just have a little bit of fun. I might do another one of these videos, and I've had some fun like looking into these facts as well, and I'm sure there's more that you want to share with me in the comment section. And as always, it'd be very much appreciated if you could like the video, share the video, and even better, subscribe if you're new, and we'll catch you in the next one.